Okay, so it has been said, and this is basically what's going to happen. Marcus Rashford is going to be a Barcelona player, and that is because that is the most financially feasible for the club. Marcus Rashford actually wants to join Barcelona. He wants this move to happen, and he's willing to reduce his wages by 40%, because we're talking about a player who does receive around 300K, right, a week, and that is a lot of money. That is like 1.2 million euros a month, averaging like maybe 12 to 13 million euros a year. That's a lot of money. That's definitely going to put, Marcus Rashford as one of the most top paid players in Barcelona. And could Barcelona afford that? And another question is going to be, if we pay this money to Marcus Rashford, this 12 to 13 million euros a year, would it make sense for us to use Marcus Rashford in a sub role, knowing that we're going to pay him 12 to 13 million euros a year? That doesn't make any sense. If we were to pay a player 12 to 13 million euros a year, that player is expected to be a all-time starter, a player that can provide like 20 goals and 20 assists in one season, and to play 99% of the minutes, to take on the position of Raphinha, to take on the position of Dani Olmo, to take on the position of Lewandowski, right? Because once again, that is a lot of money. That is the type of money that you would pay for a player that I would say is going to be there to be a ultimate starter, a world-class player, and I just don't see Marcus Rashford in that type of caliber, which means that, he's going to have to reduce his wages. The only reason why he's getting paid that much is because of Manchester United. Manchester United are so willing to overpay for their players no matter what. Even if they're like a 6 out of 10 type of player and they're not necessarily world-class, they're still going to throw out a 15 million euro wage to the player per season. All right, that's just how it is. But the fact that he's going to reduce his wages by 40% is going to ultimately make him go down to maybe 7 to 8 million euros a year for Barcelona. And to me, I find that okay, because that is automatically going to take in the role of Ansu Fati, because Ansu Fati's wages as well was 7 to 8 to 9 million euros a season. So you can see how that puzzle does fit. Now, let's talk about this, right? Let's talk about how Marcus Rashford would fit at a team like FC Barcelona. Now, first of all, I don't see Marcus Rashford as a starter, somebody who is going to for sure replace Raphinha. It's just not going to happen. Raphinha, as a left winger, and what he did last season was amazing. It was world class. It placed him in the in the Ballon d'Or contenders, and you cannot just take him out like that. There's no way. Would I say that there's a position for him in the number 9 position? We'll see, because there's like 3 other options: Lewandowski, Olmo, and Ferran Torres. So I think that Marcus Rashford is going to come in and be a player that can take on all positions in the attack. He can play in Yamal's position. He can play in Lewandowski's position. He can play in Raphinha's position. Somebody who adds more quality depth. Now, what happens when he does play in those positions, right? What could he bring? Now, as we can see, right, in my notes here, I would say that his approach does represent a dramatic departure for himself, right? It's definitely going to be seen as him just shifting to a brand new era for himself. And I think that he's going to want to re-innovate his game. He's going to want to change the way that he does approach the game, his motivations, everything all around. He has never played in La Liga before. So this is very much a new journey for Marcus Rashford. And I believe that if he takes this well and he sees that, right, I expect Marcus Rashford to re-innovate himself in terms of adding more skill sets to his game, being much more of a protagonist, becoming much more of a presser. Because one of the things that does, I would say, annoy me a little bit is Marcus Rashford's work rate defensively is not that, it's not that bad, but it's decent. But at a team like Hansi Flick's, you need to be a player that can press and aggressive. Like you must go to that ball and win that ball 90% of the time. Yamal and Raphinha's conversion rate in terms of pressing is like 60 to 75% in terms of success, right? Pressing on the ball. Rashford is averaging like 40%. He needs to, that's decent. That is okay. But at a team like Barcelona, where you are very much reliant to win the ball high up the pitch, Marcus Rashford needs to get better on that. Now, for sure, we're going to heavily rely on the 4-2-3-1 formation, 4-3-3 setup hybrid, right? We're going to continue with that type of formation. Nothing from there is going to change. And one thing that we must understand is, Flick's attacking philosophy prioritizes verticality and rapid transitions. And that is over horizontal possession play, right? This system is designed to exploit space behind the defensive line through quick, direct movements off the ball. This is the reason why Marcus Rashford is being eyed on, is because of his pace, is because he can attack those open spaces. Now, let's talk about Marcus Rashford's player profile even more, because I did state here that he does represent a highly specialized attacking weapon whose effectiveness depends heavily on tactical context, meaning that if you are a team that can win the ball, right, in the middle of the pitch, like how Pedri wins the ball, or Frankie, or Olmo, or Lamine Yamal, if you can win the ball and you can automatically find that player that makes those runs behind the defensive line, Marcus Rashford can be highly effective. Now, if Marcus Rashford joins a team like Inter Milan, for example, where you're not so interested in winning the ball high, where you're not trying to press as much as possible and as high as possible, and you're willing to sit back, Marcus Rashford is going to struggle. He is. And I think that at a team like Barcelona, it could really work. His signature patterns of receiving the ball on the left flank and turning in and making those long shots is also going to be welcomed. The fact that he can counterattack when the opposition is exposed, Marcus Rashford is going to be amazing. The only way I can see Marcus Rashford like really struggling here and at a team like Barcelona is if we face a team like Cadiz or Getafe and they want to be that team that sits back and they're like, we're just going to sit back, we're going to create a low block, and we're going to give you guys no space. That is where I think Marcus Rashford is going to really struggle in, because Marcus Rashford does depend on a lot of space behind the defensive line, the midfield line. There's a reason, right, why Marcus Rashford has not left the Premier League yet, right? He has joined Aston Villa, previously came from Manchester United. He has never been to no other league, as far as I'm aware of, because I haven't actually searched this up, but over the past 10 years for sure, Marcus Rashford has not left the Premier League. And in the Premier League is very much way more open, right? There is no team that tries to sit back. We're just gonna have a defensive masterclass and we're gonna provide very little space in our defensive third. And so it's a scary thing to think about, because I don't think that Rashford can really blossom there. He's gonna have to really improve on his tight space situations. Players like Dani Olmo can excel here. Players like Yamal can excel here. Players like Ferran Torres can also excel here. But the question is, could a player like Raphinha excel in those tight spaces? We have seen him struggle in environments like that. With Marcus Rashford, is no different. Hence the reason why I think that Marcus Rashford is going to be that plan B to Raphinha. He is. If you have two players like Rashford and Raphinha playing at the same time, you are putting yourself in great danger against teams like Cadiz and Getafe and all these other teams that play in low blocks, right? Levante, Leganés. It's dangerous. If you're gonna devote yourself to having a couple of players who can attack those open spaces when the game is very open, only have one. You only need one. You don't need two, right? So, hence the reason why, going back to what I said, Marcus Rashford is the quality depth player for Raphinha, and nothing more from there. Now, Rashford's finishing ability has demonstrated periods of elite execution. As we can see here, that he has scored 16 goals since the 2022 World Cup from an expected goal value of 8.65. So he's very decent, right? And as of late, and especially in the past 9 months, he has been playing as a striker. So one of the questions that I do have is, where's Hansi Flick going to really place him at? Because as far as I know, I see him as a rotator with Raphinha, but could we see him in positions where he is in the number 9 position? Could it be possible where we can see Raphinha on the left, Marcus Rashford on the number 9 position, Yamal on the right, and with Dani Olmo in the center? Right? It's something that is possible. I can see that playing out. And in wide areas with space to exploit, right? His combination of pace, agility, direct running makes him a unstoppable opponent in 1v1 situations. I expect him to really excel in Champions League situations, right? He's going to be amazing because you are forced to score, right? You're forced to score because you have another potential game to play after, which is another knockout game, and you must win. But at the same time, like I've said, you're not going to get those predicaments and situations in La Liga. It's going to be really hard. So Marcus Rashford has certain skill sets that are welcomed. He can be really good. It just depends on the game. What game is Barcelona playing? And I will tell you what players need to play. That's Hansi Flick's model. So it gives them different weapons. And I believe that if we can get Marcus Rashford at a wage of hopefully 7 to 8 million euros a season, that's fine with me. And hopefully he can turn out to be a Aubameyang. Aubameyang was not here at Barcelona for that long, but when he was, he was very effective. He was amazing. And, I think that we still miss Aubameyang till this day. That guy was amazing as our number 9. And, Marcus Rashford is going to be coming on loan as well. So it's not going to be permanent. It's not going to be like a 5-year, 6-year deal. It's going to be a loan move. And who knows, right? What if this move ends up being one of the best moves that Joan Laporta has made, where Marcus Rashford really does re-innovate his game. He works on certain things that he knows he needs to work on, right? And he becomes our number 9 at the age of 27 years old. Maybe he becomes an exceptional left winger, an exceptional right winger. And he can give us a maybe 20 goal contribution season, maybe even more, 25 goal contribution season. And like I've said, man, his greatest weakness is his ineffectiveness against compact low block defenses, where space behind is ultimately denied. And we see that a lot in La Liga. So that is why I really want this financial operation to be well dealt with, because I do not want to overpay for a player and we can only use him in certain games and he's not being seen on TV a lot, right? If you pay for him a lot, then you better use him a lot. That's just how it is. And let's see. I would say that if Marcus Rashford wants to have the best chance to get the most minutes, you're going to have to compete against our wingers for sure, right? Because we look at Raphinha. He provides great defensive work rate, great pressing intelligence that Flick does demand. His crossing ability is exceptional. His long range shooting is exceptional. His willingness to track back make him much more of a complete package. His versatility to play on either flanks is also amazing, something that Rashford is more limited on. Could you compete against Lamine Yamal, bro? Lamine Yamal embodies the creative solution to low block defenses that Rashford does lack. His exceptional dribbling ability, his vision, his technical security in tight spaces makes him the ideal player for FC Barcelona for the next 10 years. And at the age of 17 years old, he's only going to get better from here. He's 10 years younger than Rashford. Could you, Rashford, bro, could you compete against these two wingers here? Can you improve on top of what they already bring on the flanks? Could you... You're probably not going to be better than Lewandowski in terms of being a pure number 9, like a purebred number 9. But could you exceed the numbers of Ferran Torres? Ferran Torres was amazing last season. He had like more than 15 goal contributions last season. Somebody who barely played any minutes. Could you be as effective? Ferran Torres brings the tactical intelligence, his versatility, with his off-the-ball movements, his ability to operate across multiple positions as well. His counter-pressing engagement aligns better with Flick's defensive requirements. In total, together with Ferran, Yamal, and Raphinha, who is the competitors of Rashford, right? Together, these players have contributed to 60 of Barcelona's 109 goals this season, right? Let me repeat that. They have contributed in 60 goals total. That's a lot out of the 109 goals that Barcelona scored last season, with Raphinha alone recording 23 goals and 13 assists, while Yamal managed 11 goals and 13 assists. Their combined output is insane. And I need Marcus Rashford to compete against those numbers, or else none of that's going to be worth it. I need that full commitment. So that is it, right? Like, I would welcome this signing, and from there, no more attacking players. We're fine. Rashford, Ferran, Yamal, Raphinha, Lewandowski, Dani Olmo. We can even say Fermin Lopez as well. No more from there. From there, we should just continue to focus on signing more fullbacks. I know that Eric Garcia is a player that wants to compete against Jules Koundé on the right back position. I know that Gerard Martin has not been talked about on how he's going to be leaving to Wolves. Maybe he might stay and compete against Alejandro Balde. But, if Hansi Flick does rely on Eric Garcia and Gerard Martin to reinforce our fullbacks, that's fine with me. I trust Hansi Flick. I think that Hansi Flick knows what he's doing. But now the question is, who else are we going to be signing after? Are we going to be looking for other center backs? Are we going to potentially look for another central defensive midfielder? Who knows? There has not been a lot of conversations ever since the operation of Nico Williams has been, completed. As in, like, he's now a Athletic Club player and will be until 2035. What a traitor. You know what I'm saying? But that is it, right? That is going to be wrapping up today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what you guys think about the Marcus Rashford operation. Do you see him as an ideal fit at Barcelona? Do you see a role for him? Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.